Hello boys and girls, welcome to my channel. I'm for Classic and welcome to BenchART. So for today what I do have in it is Skate Story, developed by Sam Ang, and it is using Unreal Engine 4. So I'm testing this on my RX 6700 XT, and at 1080p it's pretty much running entirely maxed out, just easily. But let's take a look on the requirements first. So they do recommend the Ryzen 7 3700X, which I have the 3600, which I have 2 less cores and 4 less threads, but it has an improved single core performance, which I think it is what it matters for Unreal Engine 4 the most. 16 gigs of RAM, and then RX 5700, which our GPU it is greatly superior. This is for 1080p high settings to produce 60 frames per second. So if you saw my GTX 1650 Super video, you know that that's entirely bullshit, because you can play at 60 frames per second with the 1650 Super just easily at the high settings. And so these are the results that I gathered with maximum settings. So for 1080p, my average was more than 200 frames and 1% lows of 141. 1440p, again an experience with an average of 135 and 1% lows of 82. It is really at 4K that this GPU starts to struggle with this game, with an average of 50 and a 1% lows below than 30. The graphs are a little bit all over the place, because the environment, when I did perform the tests, I'm entering and exiting through portals, and that does a small loading, and for that same reason the frame rate goes up and down. But looking a little bit better for the consistency of the frames, the 1080p never did drop below than 60. 1440p I had 0.68% of the frames below than 60 frames per second. It was pretty much 3 frames per second that it was below than 60, and it was exactly because of those loadings. It wasn't really while you were traversing, playing, doing tricks. It was entirely above than 60, but at 4K it did drop for the most part below than 60 frames per second. So I decided to conduct a little bit of different testing for 4K. At 4K I decided to try the game at maximum, high and medium. And my recommended settings, if you are going to play the game at 4K, it is to play the game with the median settings. With the median settings I got an average of 95 and a 1% low of 59. So the game barely dropped below than 60, and when it did, it was because of those loadings. At the high settings, it was pretty much in between the 40 to 60 frames per second. I'm not sure if a variable refresh rate screen will handle it well or not, but I'm going to assume that for the most part it won't. And the maximum settings, well, the FreeSync can't save you, because there are many instances where the frame rate it is around 30, sometimes lower than that. So it's a demanding game at 4K, surprisingly. And my recommended, again, settings for you is that if you play at 1080p or 1440p, just play with the maximum settings. If you play at 4K, just use the median settings. To be honest, given the type of scenarios that this game uses, I struggle to see any difference in between all of these settings. Okay, so that's just my opinion regarding all of that. When it comes to the game itself, there is a demo available on Steam for you to try it out in case you want it, and my suggestion it is for you to try out, because it's very hard to explain what this game it is about. Yes, it's a skate game, but it's a skate game in another world, okay, where your character is completely tied to the skate, and there is this kind of agreement that you do with an entity, maybe the devil, I don't know, and your objective it is to destroy or to eat all the moons. It's very cool game, and the reviews have been very positive, and the soundtrack, it's really my thing. Okay, so I guess that's all that I want to talk about Skate Story on the RX 6700 XT. Hope you did enjoy the video, and I do hope you keep enjoying the rest of the gameplay, because there will be a lot of gameplay throughout this video for you to enjoy without any commentary. So again, thank you a lot for watching, and I do hope to see you soon. Goodbye.